Hello, Des here, and thank you so much for joining me in this video where I'm going to be trying the new Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation, and this is it here. I am really excited about this because I haven't tried a Charlotte Tilbury foundation for some years. I used to use the Light Wonder, I think it was called, foundation, but I haven't used any other Charlotte Tilbury foundation since then. So it's really exciting, and it's particularly exciting for mature skins. And for those of us who've tried the Lisa Eldridge, that was probably the biggest launch that we've had recently that's aimed at the same market. It's cheaper than the Lisa Eldridge. It's £34 in the UK, whereas I think the Lisa Eldridge was 40 or even 44. I'll put everything down below in the description box anyway. So let me just tell you a little bit about it. It's a medium coverage foundation and it's got skin loving properties, and some of those include something called, and let me read it out to you, Pyrus Malus Apple Fruit Water, which apparently is found in lots of skincare products but not usually in makeup. It's loaded with proteins, starch, sugars, acids, vitamins and salts. The sugars, which are fructose, sucrose and glucose, give the apple extract some nice moisturising and smoothing properties, whereas the acids give it a mildly exfoliating and brightening and antibacterial properties as well. There's also something called, and let me read it out again, Hyaluro Smooth, which is a patented property, and it's a botanical alternative to hyaluronic acid. So it's excellent for mature skins and it helps with hydration. So in layman's terms, it's a hydrating ingredient that our body already produces, but obviously this is a botanical version. It's similar to squalane and it helps to keep our skins plump, hydrated and dewy. Now, it also contains rose oil, which is an essential oil. Now, I don't normally use a foundation with an essential oil in it, so I'm a little bit worried about whether I'm going to be allergic to it, because I am allergic to scent, to fragrance, to parfum, as it's usually listed in the ingredients, and to specific types of parfum within that family. But I'm not, as far as I know, allergic to rose. That isn't one that I've heard about, so I'm hoping that it's all going to be fine for me. Now, it suggests you can use a brush to apply it, so that's what I'm going to do in a moment, or you can use fingertips as well, which of course we all know. I mean, you could use a sponge as well, I guess. Without further ado, let me open the box and see what's inside. Oh, one other thing I ought to tell you about, there is a shade finder on the website, which I did find quite helpful. I usually know roughly what colour I am, but I tried their shade finder and it did seem to accord with what I thought I was. I'm a 14 in Lisa Eldridge, I think in L'Oreal, I'm an N5 Sand. I'll put the details down below for you, but I did find the shade finder useful. However, of course, the proof of the pudding will be in the eating. So without further ado, let me open the box. Ah, so it's a tube, interesting. Very, very light, so it's not the usual sort of fancy schmancy glass bottle or anything like that. It's just a tube. I'm in the shade 6 Neutral. Oops, a bit shiny. So it's in the tube. Right, pull the top off. So nice, easy applicator. I like that kind of applicator. And I'm just going to pop it. Ooh, I have to pump it a bit. Oh, nothing's coming out. Ah, there we go. So I'm going to put a couple of pumps on there. Yep, I think the colour's looking good. So now let me get my mirror. Put my hair out of the way. By the way, I should have said all I've got on my skin is the moisturiser. I have no SPF. I didn't really want to do any of that. I just wanted to see how it applied on nice prepped skin, but simply prepped without anything that could sort of annoy it in any way. So let me dot it on my face like so. Oh yeah, I think the colour is ideal actually for me. So I know there's been a lot of debate, well, not a lot of debate, there's been a little bit of a debate when I did the Lisa Eldridge shade finder test as to what shade I should be, because some people said my neck was yellow, and they're right, my neck is yellow, but my face is a different colour, so it's hard to match the two to make them not look, I mean, everybody's neck, I think, is different from their face, so it is quite difficult to match. Anyway, this is looking good. I think what I'm going to do, I think I will, perhaps we'll use one side face brush and one side fingers. So this is the fantastic face brush that I absolutely love from Beauty Pie. I've done a video on Beauty Pie, by the way, so if you haven't seen it, I will link it up here in the corner for you, down below in the description box. So I think we'll do this side with the brush and this side with the fingers. So let's do the brush first. Oh gosh, do you know what? I think that colour's amazing. I mean, look, if you compare it to my neck, I think that's pretty good. And that was just using their shade finder, although as I say, I do think it was the shade that I would have chosen myself. It's looking nice and dewy from a distance. I'll have to obviously come a bit closer and see in a moment how it's looking. And I might have to use my fingers around my nose. My nose gets really dry just in the little crevices, which is a bit of a pain. But let's see. I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, let's do fingers on the other side. I'm just going to pick my mirror up so I can see. Okay, so it's interesting. It's not very liquidy. So actually, I probably wouldn't use my fingers. I don't think. Let me just turn this around. I might not use my fingers with this. I think if the foundation is liquidy, I tend to use my fingers, but if it's not, I think I can be a bit more precise when I am using a brush. Well, I'm very impressed so far. It's going on very well. It's a good colour. It's drying quite quickly, but that's okay. And actually around my nose, let me just tidy this up a bit. It's not settling in. Impressive. Skin-like. Feels very nice. Wow. Well, I think it doesn't feel, well, it feels very slightly tacky actually, but that's okay. I'm sure it's drying quickly. It doesn't appear to be settling into any fine lines in any meaningful way. So I'm really liking that. And I think the colour's great. So first impressions, very good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to not add any more makeup to my skin, just so we can really give it a good old test out. It's the morning here in London on Saturday, and I'm going to be going out in the garden so we can have natural light, because where my studio is, I'm actually just in what I call my boudoir, but it's just a room with the blinds down because otherwise the neighbours can see in. In fact, what I'll do is I'll go out in the daylight in about 4 hours time. We'll give it a bit of a wear test. We'll see how it's looking, but I'm not going to add anything further to my skin because I'm not going out today, so I don't need to pretty myself up any more than I already have. So I will see you a bit later. Okay, here we are at the 4-hour check-in, and I think it's looking pretty good. Let me come very close around the eyes. I haven't put any more makeup on. I've got no powder, no concealer, nothing. And this is what it looks like. I mean, it's impossible for me to really see, but hopefully you can. And what we'll do is we'll have another check-in in 4 hours, and then we'll have a late night check-in as well just before I go to bed. So here we are at the 9-hour check-in, and I think it's looking pretty good. I have nothing else on my skin, as I say, no concealer, no blusher, no bronzer, no lipstick even. So let me come closer and just see. Sorry about the clicking. I think the only thing I would say is that it's a little bit greasy around the nose, but that isn't necessarily the foundation's fault. Anyway, we'll talk about it in the morning. Good morning. It's the morning after the night before, and I'm wearing the new Charlotte Tilbury foundation again. And what do you think my verdict is? Well, just before we get into that, let me just mention what I forgot to mention yesterday, and that is that the foundation is vegan, or at least it says it's vegan friendly. I don't really know why it just doesn't say it's vegan, but I assume that means it is vegan. And also just to mention again the essential oils issue, just to highlight it, because I am not having a problem with it, and I don't necessarily have an issue with essential oils per se. It's just that I am allergic to what they call parfum ingredients, when they don't tell you exactly what's in the scent or the fragrance. And then there are some specifics like citral that I am allergic to, and citral has some other derivatives and it's called other things like limonene and geraniol and that sort of thing. But so far so good. I am not feeling anything, although my allergy is a bit weird, and it usually just manifests itself in dry patches on my face. I don't suddenly come out in a rash or anything. Anyway, so we know it's vegan, and we know it is it has some essential oils in it. And as I mentioned yesterday, it's got hyaluronic acid and glycerin in it, both of which are fantastic products for the skin. So firstly, what I'm going to do is move closer to the camera and you can see how it's looking on my skin in the morning, and I will tell you what I've done to prep my skin and put the foundation on. So let me just come close. I'll come as close as I can. Now I may have overdone the blusher again. I really struggle to put on blusher without loading it on. I really must try not to, but of course what you see on the camera is so different from what you see in real life. It may actually not show up that much on camera, but in real life it does look a little bit overdone. So I prepped my skin today by putting on my vitamin C from Beauty Pie and my SPF from Beauty Pie. And by the way, if you haven't seen my Beauty Pie video where I do a deep dive into the brand, I'll link it up here in the corner for you and down below in the description box. So I put that on, and then I applied the foundation, and this time I just put about 1 1/4 pumps on my hand. Then I dotted it on my face, and then I got my Beauty Pie again foundation brush and I applied it all over. And then I've got some other makeup on, which I won't go through now, but just to let you know that I've got some powder on. Obviously you can see I've got eyeshadow and all of the rest of that. And actually, if you do see any little glitter pieces, I hope you won't, but it'll be a bit of a fallout from my eyeshadow that I put on. Anyway, so what do I think about the foundation? Well, I'll tell you what, I am giving it at least a 9 out of 10, if not a 10 out of 10. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Now, I'll tell you one of the reasons why I think it's brilliant is because when I apply foundation on top of my SPF and my vitamin C, I often get little kind of scaly bits here. I mean, nobody would see them, but I see them with my 10 by 10 mirror. And I cannot see, and let me come close again, I cannot see any scaling going on at all between my brows. Now, that is a huge hit for me for a start. The second reason why I think it's a great foundation is it gives really good coverage without overdoing the coverage. So it is a medium coverage, or light to medium. It's certainly not medium to heavy. But what I really like is, so here I have, and again, let me come close. I've got a sort of a, it's not really a zit. Well, I suppose it's a sort of zit. It's a red mark anyway. I've had it for donkey's years. And what I like about it is, and I haven't put any concealer on at all on my blemish, you can see it, but it's not obvious. It doesn't look too covered and it doesn't look too concealed, if you know what I mean. I think it just covers my skin enough, but not too much. It doesn't seem to have settled in fine lines. I put it on about half an hour ago now, and I think it has really, really covered my skin in the most flattering way. I also think the shade is perfect for me. I mean, those of you who can tell the difference between my neck and the rest of my skin on my face will let me know, I'm sure, and please do let me know in the comments down below if you can see a difference, because with the Lisa Eldridge, and if you haven't seen my review of that, I'll put that up in the corner for you and down below in the description box. I'm shade 14 in that, or at least I think I'm a shade 14, and the makeup artist who served me in the little pop-up shop also thought that. However, the makeup artist did mention that my neck was yellower than my face, and she's right, I think it is yellower. But that means it can be quite difficult to find a foundation that works. But I honestly think this one is it. I am just so delighted with it. It's easy to apply. It comes in a handy tube, which is easy for application. It just got a little pump. I mean, it's easy to store, okay? You're lying it flat, just like you are with the Lisa Eldridge, unless you want to upend it like this. And it's £34, I think. I mean, it's definitely high-end foundation, but honestly, if you want a high-end foundation, I think this is about the same price as the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better foundation. I think I've fallen in love. So there you have it. That is my review of the new Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation. And I absolutely love it. Just one thing to mention that I forgot to mention at the top of the review today is that, as you noticed yesterday, it oiled up a little bit in my T-zone. So if you've got oily skin or combination, you would most definitely want to powder the centre of your face. Now I have powdered it today. It'll be interesting to see whether it oils up a bit in my centre panel as the day wears on. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, I'd be so grateful if you'd give it a thumbs up, and better yet, subscribe to the channel, because by subscribing it helps my channel be put in front of other older women who would enjoy this kind of content. And leave me a comment below. Have you tried the Charlotte Tilbury yet? I know there are lots of other reviewers of my sort of demographic talking about it on YouTube, and I haven't watched them yet because I didn't want it to colour my view of the foundation. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye.